Well, Charles, it's October.
Are we at Oktoberfest?
No,
Are we in Munich?
I don't think so. But we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a kid about to crash into you on a bicycle.
Let the
Charles.
kids go.
Absolutely.
After you, kids. Just.
Where are their parents?
Oh, they're right over there.
Because nothing could possibly happen when your kid is a half a block away.
Yeah. Well, that's responsible parenting for you.
I think that's called Darwinism.
Or I think it's called, that's obviously not the eldest child.
Right. Charles, there continue to be a massive number of business closures around New York City. To be fair, this is the Cake Place. I think this closed before the pandemic, but restaurants are getting nervous. Mayor de Blasio announced.
Who?
Mayor de Stupido.
Yeah.
Warren Wilhelm Jr. announced that they may be actually relocking down, Charles.
Yeah, so here's the thing. In New York City and in California, it is true that there's an enormous amount of wealth, and therefore there's a spillover effect of that wealth creates opportunities for restaurants and bars and things like that. And you can imagine that there's certain people who are just so wedded to New York City and San Francisco or Los Angeles that they're never going to leave. They can't leave. They own the big news, like the owner of the New York Times, for example. He's not going to leave. But that said,
Crowdsource the truth.
what?
What about the owner of
He should leave. but the thing that's the case is that while those guys aren't leaving, anyone else who can is. And as we walk around today, we'll see many. I mean, look at this whole building out across the street. I mean, large numbers of shops used to be in there, all gone.
Yeah.
And with this on again, off again stuff on, are the schools going to be open? Are they going to be closed? If you don't have children, that sounds like it's a minor problem. But if you have children, and particularly if they're, let's say, 8, 9, 10 or older, so they have friends, even at a younger age they're going to have friends, but they have active friends, they have after-school activities, maybe you have 2 or 3 or 4 children. Managing that logistical chain is something I did for 5 years with help, not working, just for 2 kids, and one of whom was away in boarding school, so it wasn't that challenging. But let me tell you, it's tough. And if you're constantly changing things at the last minute, the way things happen to us today, we'll get into that in a bit.
We should talk about that.
Or with regard to schools, you're working, let's say you're a single mother, and you're not wealthy, and you got 2 kids. And one of them you think is in school, and you get a call where you turn on the television, you say, hey, the schools are going to be closed. We don't know when they're going to reopen. You're going to have to homeschool your kid. Well, how do you do that if you're working, let's say, 1 or maybe 2 jobs to pay rent and put food on the table for your kids? So the cavalier way in which this DiCaprio, it's not de Blasio, DiCaprio, is running this, trying to run the city, along with Andrew Cuomo II, who...
Why the second?
Well, because he's the second governor. He inherited the governorship by... dynastic privilege. The way they are just running the state and the city into the ground, while at the very same time other states to which we could move are more forward-looking and more receptive. Florida or Wyoming, you pick it. Alaska, there are places, Texas, that don't have much in the way of taxation and are connected to the internet, and some you like for other reasons, or I like for other reasons. So states, the wise states, principally the red-controlled states, are seeking out capital and businesses, whereas this pair of idiots, and they're not useful, chasing away, while at the same time, technology is enabling you to do what we're doing today, and have done now for more than 250 times, wandering around the city, give people a view of the city that they're not otherwise getting from the lamestream media or from other podcasters or other entrepreneurs. And we do this in a way, thanks to you and your system, that beams us all over the world in real time. So if you had tried to do this with a budget, if you had the money to do this, and I'm not sure you could do it, but let's say 10 years ago, it would have cost a lot more money, and it would have employed a lot more people.
Well, that in and of itself would have made it impossible, because I think part of what allows us to do this, Charles, is that it's just you and I, and we can change.
What about the art department? You're always short shrifting. You're always short shrifting the art department.
Right. Well, that consists of also me.
No, did you outsource that to Manila?
I outsourced myself. Did you give me that story?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
So, Charles, what about this poster today? I think people probably expected us to talk about Donald Trump having COVID.
Well, we are going to talk about that, but what's happening now, I believe, and I've been spending more time with Gordon Chang, who's a great American patriot and thought leader. What's happening is the people who believe that Trump didn't have a strategy, didn't know what he was doing, are now learning that Trump definitely had a strategy. And that is to go back to 1988, 1989, and not simply reverse Obama, but reverse the commitments that many American multinational companies made to making the Communist Chinese Party and its supporters rich, making people, oligarchs in India rich, at the expense of workers, Democrat and Republican and independent workers in this country. Wow.
Looks like this is
Let's see what this is. This is a very good place.
It's a big place and a chain. Oh, the fire department gave a notice.
Yeah.
What does it say? Bureau of Fire Prevention Inspection. They need access to the air conditioning.
That's a while, but that's old. That's September 18th.
I don't think this has been open since then.
That's a pity because I'm not into sweets at all, but this Kaiser chain is cool.
Great croissants.
Yeah. So what Trump is doing here is he's going in and he's saying, you know what? This isn't a nationalism issue alone. This is a corruption issue. That the Communist Chinese Party is fundamentally corrupt, intellectually bankrupt, and for tiny money, just as we see the BLM corrupt organization, which it appears may be, it's not even an organization, but may be funded. There we go, I love that.
Well, why?
That's one of the accounts I have.
Oh, okay. But I mean, they moved from that big thing over on 23rd Street.
Yeah.
Is that downsizing for them?
No, that's a pretty big.
They're stocked up on toilet paper, Charles.
And it's green.
Really weird.
To turn investment ideas into toilet paper, or into stuff that requires toilet paper.
Or perhaps they're investing in toilet paper. They're going long on toilet paper, Charles.
Right. So what Trump is doing here is attacking, I think, with his executive order, which happened in the last little while, the whole building's released.
Was that Bang & Olufsen? I think it was.
We tried to buy this company when I was in my prior job. Amazed it's still in business. But now this here was the hip portion of Broadway 5 years ago, and all the cool stores were here.
Good place to park.
WeWork. So
it says space available for WeWork.
I know, and you're going to see that sign. There's a merger between WeWork and Space Available.
And we don't work.
And Space Available is the controlling partner.
Right.
This used to be a Brooks Brothers place.
They're obviously trying to rent it. Look, they have the whole
gone,
map there.
So, just continuing the thread, what happened from 88 to 89, I would argue, is that the Communist Chinese very successfully infiltrated mainstream America and Western Europe and other large markets around the world. And one of the ways they did it was to send smart Chinese students, and there are many smart people, to all these universities, and then give the universities research grants. And then they would have these smart, in quotes, students who actually were spies, spending time working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, when the American students, not all of them, but many of them were too lazy to work as hard. And they would then be on the inside of these big universities.
Well, that's like Charles Lieber had those students who had failed to disclose on their student visas that they were lieutenants in the Chinese army. How come we haven't heard any more about Charles Lieber or what's going on with those students?
Because they're probably sucking him dry for information. So, and it's not just in the chemical area or the hard sciences or professional, it's also in the soft sciences, the Confucius Institutes, it's all that kind of stuff. That is deeply embedded. And of course, the university campuses on in this country and elsewhere, they're crazy lands. I mean, they're filled with, they have too much money, the professors have tenure, so they're not worried about being fired. They claim that the only thing that matters is, quote, peer-reviewed academic literature. And peer-reviewed, you just decide who the peers are. And you
Get the right review.
Well, you just, if you want to promote unregulated globalism as the future and nationalism is antiquated, you do that. And you call out you're intolerant on campus. And you do all this because they're dumb, rich alumni who want their names on buildings and don't want to think this through properly and have not stood up and said, wait a minute, why am I giving money to a bunch of scruffy cultists who are indoctrinating my kids to inflame these mobs that we may run into shortly, to tear down this nation, doing so within the ambit of tax-exempt organizations while they're also paying themselves large amounts of money. Why are we doing this? And I think Trump has stirred the pot very effectively, and you're now going to start seeing, there was an executive order, I don't know if it'll pass muster, denying entry to anybody connected in or connected to the Communist Party of China.
Isn't that everybody in China?
No, the Communist Party, my last estimate that I heard of that seemed good was that 150 million people out of the 1.4 billion or so are in the party. So it's not like it's a monolith within China. So there's an opportunity, which is why Bannon's pushing so hard on this, to appeal to the people of China and say, look, we would have a bright future if your country were not run by if your country were not run under authoritarian rule by the Communist Party of China. But so long as you are, we're going to gut you like a fish. We're just not. We're not going to. Our companies are going to leave. We don't care about selling in your market. Let the Belgians do that. See how that works out. And
they have just rubber and beer.
That's about it. And thank heaven for little boys.
What's with this mini garbage truck?
I don't know.
It stinks.
It does. It's in New York City.
When have you ever seen a garbage truck parked on the street?
I haven't.
It's strange.
Well, it's probably readying to deal with whatever's going to happen here in Union Square Park.
Happy Socks is down with Disney, Charles.
I'm told this is very good and expensive Italian ice cream.
It's a fancy.
I wouldn't know.
Place.
It's expensive though, too.
Maybe Nancy Pelosi could go there.
Oh, this is too cheap for her. She needs to have multiple butlers.
Premium ice cream.
Now we see a large number of police cars.
So we should tell people we're heading towards Union Square, where there's a scheduled protest, and we can see. So that thing over there was what? The Teapot Dome thing?
Yeah, Tammany Hall.
Tammany Hall, with the real interesting. What do you call that type of dome?
Is it
tessellated dome on the top?
Is it tessellated or geodesic?
It's made of triangles, right?
I don't know.
What is it?
I'm the numbers guy.
What is it that you think it is?
Geodesic, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. People watching will know. Oh yeah, let's check the comments.
There's a lot of police cars, so something is supposed to happen.
Planning some hectic crap.
Could be the 6 mini-minded march.
Mini
6 million.
AOC march?
I like Mini AOC. I think she's. I question whether it's a little person, in age, with the comments, but she's whoever's doing it is very funny. And if it is a young person, that person's going to get high real marks wherever he or she ends up in college.
So there's a lot of police cars here, Charles.
I think they're focused on down there, which is typically where the rally is. Incidentally, I noticed on Free Republic, an excellent site, footage that somebody put together from that purported to be, well, they were moving images, as in moving, not emotionally moving, images of New York,
The coffee shop has become a Chase Bank.
Yeah, that's life. The natural order of things. You start with coffee and you end up as a banker.
Oh, that's not good.
You still have Joe Coffee though. But what were we talking about just a second ago?
I'm sorry, I don't know. People in the comments were answering about geodesic dome.
Anyway.
We're talking about Trump. Talking about.
It'll come back to me.
Well, we can also talk about how we were planning to be in studio today.
Right. We had a
very
special potential pair of guests, one of whom was on Fox last night talking about how he had been with the president on
You're
Wednesday.
going to give it away.
No, it's just a lot of people on Fox last night who were with the president last week, and had spoken to him yesterday, and for whatever reason, and I have a feeling it has to do with whether that person or persons had been diagnosed as having COVID. They had to cancel at the last minute, and this kind of stuff happens. So we may move to a system where we book multiple people. We have to cancel
people.
If this happens too many times, we'll have to do that. So anyway, I know what it is. I started to say that I had come across this trove of images of moving, as in like people moving on camera, from 1896 onwards, right here in Union Square.
Moving? What do you mean?
Like it looked like an old-fashioned movie, but I thought movies didn't start until after then.
1895, I believe, the Lumiere brothers demonstrated the cinematograph, which was the projector.
Okay. So maybe it was that stuff, but it was literally right where we're standing, on the corner of Broadway over there and 14th Street. And what struck me about it is how modern the people looked. They were well dressed. They had obviously ancient vehicles.
Everyone was on the old version of Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. And the mobile phones were like these gigantic dollhouse-sized things. Yeah, they had to put them on a truck. But no. And I guess this was before electricity was widely in use.
Oh, Charles, look at that.
What?
Coffin over there, rip Trump, lie by lie. Look at that.
But it doesn't seem to have many adherents. Right? It's not like there's a huge crowd. This is the demonstration here.
It's powerful, Charles.
I mean, is this a Biden rally?
Let's take a look.
You're going to get a whole lecture about how you can't take their picture.
I don't think
and we're outnumbered, so.
I'm not going to interface with any of these people. I'm just going to observe.
Yeah.
It says Trump pants out now. Out now.
Yeah, you wonder how big his trust fund is. He's certainly saving money on the razor front.
Grooming, yeah.
I would say this is about the same enthusiasm as for Biden, who put a lid on campaigning today at 9 a.m.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, why does he need to? Trump is in the hospital. He could go to the hospital too. He's like, thank goodness, finally.
Did you see what happened outside the hospital?
I saw there was a lot of people.
There were hundreds of times this many people outside his hospital in favor of Trump. There were bikers, legions of motorbikers, these big, burly guys, kneeling on the ground praying for Trump in another protest. And I mean, the mainstream media is amping this up. Now, what do you guys stand for?
We have a table here saying vote. But voting is not going to be enough. Trump has already said that he's going to steal the elections. The mail-in ballots. Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
We are just standing here, and you just asked us who we are. Who are you?
Yes, because you're filming. Who are you?
Excuse me, why?
You're filming. Who are you?
Yeah.
We're allowed to film. We're outside, and so are you.
That's not the question I asked you. I asked who you are.
You tell us who you are.
You're not interrogating
Yeah,
me.
good. Get lost.
I don't want to be protesting fascism.
Oh, she's going to tell that old guy who's going to come intimidate us. They better get their gang of people with bikes and weapons to come over if they want to chase us away. Because I'm certainly not taking crap from anybody today.
Voting will not be enough. We need to take to the streets and stay in the streets, demanding Trump Pence out now. Well, you could try that.
Assuming that we even have a vote and Biden gets in, there's still a lot of things to do.
Are you responsible for putting that coffin over there, miss?
Let's just go over there.
You proud of that?
Just trying to block us.
Yeah, whatever. There's nothing to see over here. Bunch of dopes.
Yeah, go live in the chop. Where do you want to go? You want to go over back up this way, or do you want to go?
Let's see what's going on around the park with the cops.
Okay.
You know, Charles, it's making me angry that that woman, you're filming, so I have the right to, it's like, just walk away if you don't want to be filmed.
Well, she's just, I mean, it just shows you the intolerance.
Right.
Right? I mean, these are people who don't have a freaking clue what they really want to accomplish, but they're very sure that if you disagree with them, they have a right to jack you up. I mean, imagine if Trump took that position, right? That if you disagree with Trump, you go, you know, we're going to stay in the streets until, you know, we make sure that Biden doesn't get into the White House. I mean, that's a ridiculous position. Be careful here.
Let's go this way.
Yeah. Of course, they're cops.
How you guys doing?
How you doing?
Good.
Let's keep going.
You seem to follow me over this way, so I'm just making sure you're walking away. Why don't you just walk away?
Let's keep going.
So if you do anything stupid, you walk towards me. That's why I turn the camera your way. Walk away.
Let's keep going.
See, that guy's looking at the cops to see how far he can push it.
I know.
On a fight with me.
I just believe in not fighting when you're
I'm not
outnumbered.
trying to fight, Charles. We walked over there. He followed. I
know.
followed him with the camera. But this is what's happening with people who are out on the streets. You heard what he called me, right?
He called you something that rhymes with bigger. And I don't believe you qualify.
I don't know. Certainly if I said that, I'd be kicked off of everything.
Well, and one thing that is worth bringing up is this Rick Moranis, the famous actor who at 7:30 in the morning a number of weeks ago was minding his own business, I think on a Saturday.
Just a few days ago.
And somebody just came up and cold cocked him. And that's the game of knockout, where you knock somebody to the ground who is not suspecting that they're going to be attacked.
Exactly. And I think that guy looked like a prime candidate to be playing that game.
Yeah.
So he and his friends can start laughing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going to throw this trash
Sure.
where it belongs. This is where this stuff belongs.
Who are you? Charles, it's terrible. Oh, that place is out of business. That was, what was that, a furniture place?
I forget what that was. And what was the fancy...
That was a restaurant, like a vegan restaurant or something?
I thought that was the... oh, God.
It was TGI Fridays
Yeah.
for a long time, and then it became some kind of like Asian fusion, vegan, fancy place.
And there was a club over there that was like a famous Max's Kansas City or something, or...
Over here?
Yeah, I think.
I thought it was the W Hotel had something like restaurant or fancy.
Oh yeah,
club in it.
but before then it was way back. Let's just go over to Barnes and Noble here quickly and see what's in the window. We'll see if how many conservative books there are and how many whack job books there are.
Gonna be a real.
You think the whack job ratio is going to be pretty high?
Yeah, it's a skewed ratio.
Whack to see.
Charles, you can't walk on the street without being accosted by some dickhead.
Yeah, or dickless dickhead.
Who's emboldened by the fact that the police aren't going to do anything.
Yeah, and especially the dynamic of adolescent kids or young 20-somethings in packs, whether it doesn't matter their nationality, they really egg each other on and do stupid fucking shit.
Because they're not in an age where they understand consequences. They like the idea that that guy can punch me in the head and they can come over and kick me or whatever.
Right.
Somebody going blind or ruining their life or whatever, they think it's funny.
And you saw what happened, the Antifa guy who, I forget where he was, he was caught in someplace like Kenosha or whatever. He was talking smack and then he gets caught and he starts crying like a baby. And they release him. They release him and he's gotten arrested again. And the same thing happened, talking smack, arresting, crying like a baby.
Oh my God. I mean, it's not surprising.
So here we have the books. We have the attack on Melania by a supposed friend. And you know, this supposed friend is a, quote, society person with some strange name, and I don't think she's a real society person, who managed to weasel her way into the confidence of Melania and then unbeknownst to her, recorded her and now has written this awful book about Melania. I mean, it's a horrible thing to do. Then you have hoax, this idiot Brian Stelter.
Right. What is the hoax? The Russia hoax?
Fox News.
It's
just the dangerous distortion of truth at Fox. Donald Trump, Fox News, and the danger. And Brian Stelter is just a sniveling CNN dirtball who is not a serious journalist, but has a platform at CNN, and is makes trouble all the time. Then we have this is fiction over here. Carl Hyacin, have you pronounced it? I like his writing, he's pretty good. But then featuring Disloyal. Yeah, who the F cares what Michael Cohen has to say about anything? He's a rat, right? He's a liar, he's a convicted felon. He was a lawyer. Now he's going to come around like Scaramucci and attack Trump. I mean, and then you have...
No, you just tweeted something about Scaramucci with China. What was that all about?
Well, Scaramucci was big into Trump. I mean, he was a big power behind the Trump campaign in 15-16. He's well connected. His business is setting people up with hedge funds. It was a very smart idea at the time when he did it. But he got way ahead of his skis and very full of himself, and he's actually not all that smart, in my opinion. And he then, as he was going in to get a position in the Trump administration, he sold his fund management business to a large, troubled Chinese company. And since then, and also I guess he was married and his wife was anti-Trump, and he's had a split with the wife, and now he's gotten back with the wife and fallen out with Trump.
Part of the deal.
Probably, and I'm just guessing. And he's just mouthing off every time he has something to say about, keep going, that might be, anytime he could say something negative about Trump, he says it, and he thinks it wins him an appearance on MSNBC or CNN or both. But nobody believes the guy. I mean, he was totally pro-Trump. Now he's totally anti-Trump. What'll he be tomorrow? Totally, Hare Krishna? I mean, he just goes all over the place.
Maybe he'll dress up like Joe Biden, as Jim Carrey did last night. Everybody's wishing for the death of Trump.
It's outrageous. I never did that with Obama, or for that matter with the Clintons either.
I think we just want them to go to jail, right?
Forever. And all their shit needs to go to the Treasury.
I was actually upset when H.W. Bush died because he's not going to really ever get to face justice.
And history will face, his reputation will face justice. Maybe we go down on the east side?
Sure.
A little bit. Maybe end up in Washington Square Park or something.
Sure.
But you see a lot of spruced up real estate empty. And that's all, that's not very painful when you have mortgages at 3% or construction loans at 4 and 5%. But the second interest rates go up, the second you've got on short number, the Society of Tammany.
Well, so what's that about, Society of Tammany or Columbian Order? They can't quite decide?
Can't make up our mind.
And, look at the...
look at that, 1786 to 1928. I didn't realize it went back that far.
Hey, look at that. Also, freedom of, what does that say?
Freedom. Our Rook, I think it says.
Our Rock, our Rook?
Our Rock, yeah.
So what is this? Is this another secret society type place, like Oddfellow kind of deal?
People will Google it. I would guess yes. It's a nice building.
It's kind of a dump in there. That's where that film, what is it? New York Film Academy?
Yeah, that's where it used to be.
And that's a place, a friend of mine who I know from the 3D world, he's more of a psychologist, I think. I think he's a psychologist, but he was interested in 3D from the psychology standpoint. And he went there as a film student because it was very focused on international students, and their webpage used to talk all about how they could help you get a visa.
Right.
And there were a lot of really sketch people in there.
Yeah, it sounds like those guys are really...
These dudes are smoking weed, right?
They must be, as you are, or others may be, saddened by what's going on in Nagorno-Karabakh.
Self-medicating.
In Armenia, where the capital of some place there, some city is called Ganja, is under attack.
Right. What is this flag here? It's the flag
We'll find
of
out.
Ganja.
I don't know.
Watto.
Whatever that is.
What is that?
Never heard of it.
I like it that their sign is 3D. And they're very into Black Lives Matter.
This looks like a nice outdoor thing.
Not too busy.
We haven't shown people Irving Place before. This is
yeah, that's a good idea. This is perfect.
This is actually used to be a number of very nice restaurants here. And in fact, we can actually walk by it, meander a little bit here, and go up this way.
The oldest continually operating bar in New York City is right on the street here.
With
Pete's Tavern.
Pete's Tavern, we're going to go by it. There used to be a restaurant here. It was called, was it called Sal Anthony's or something?
Yep.
On the
That
second
was
floor?
it. You can see the sign right there.
Yeah, Sal Anthony's. And they took a picture of when Chelsea Clinton was there. They took a picture of her and put it up, you know, like the famous celebrities of her
Right.
dining there. And Doug Band bragged about he was the one who threatened to sue them if they didn't take the picture down and this and
What?
that. I know. The food here was actually quite good, I think.
I think they still have one in Little Italy.
And
But
this,
why does he want to sue them for
because
using
he's
the
a
picture?
dork. This 61 Irving Place back in the early 80s, when it converted to condos or co-ops or whatever it was,
Right.
I was thinking about buying. The top portion of this, and I may have it wrong, used to be the gym. And they had a big basketball court in there, and they cut it in to like 2 apartments or 4 apartments. And I could have stretched and bought one of the apartments, and I, to this day, regret that I did not do that.
Because this is fancy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, the neighborhood was nothing like this.
Right.
I mean, Pete's was there, but everything north was horrible. Let's go across 18th.
The
By
reason
Pete.
why that has the distinction of being the oldest continually operating bar is because actually McSorley's Tavern is the oldest bar, but McSorley's closed during Prohibition. Pete's Tavern
Did not?
became a flower shop with a speakeasy in the rear.
Uh-huh. I'm not touching that one.
I was going to say, speaking of in the rear, Robert David Steele has launched Operation Anus to counteract the
That's
exploration deep into his anti-speech strategy.
Yeah.
That's his term for it, not mine.
Pete's, yeah, this says established 1864. Isn't Francis Tavern older than this?
Well, I don't know. This is what they've told me, that this was the, but continually. Francis probably closed also for Prohibition.
Couldn't hack it.
I don't know. But it's an interesting place. I haven't been in here in a real long time.
I've been here many times. I used to, because I used to live nearby. I used to come here all the time. It
Yeah.
seems closed,
I agree with that.
which is a real pity.
The Italian food's not great, but
You
know,
go there
it's
for the
okay.
ambiance.
Yeah.
The bar talk.
Pound
Every
beers.
time I go in, used to go in there, I'd always run into somebody I hadn't seen in a while. But
That was one of the fun things about New York, having that happen all over the place, but I don't know what the future of that will be like with everyone leaving and nobody wanting to be around anybody.
I think where you're going to run into people you haven't seen in a while is when you are on your way out the city.
You're right.
Out of the city, whether it's by plane or train or car. But good luck selling that
Twins,
townhouse.
Charles.
Yeah, good luck selling that townhouse.
Oh, yeah. They said that something like sales are 46% down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you really at this stage have to be a Clinton to buy a townhouse. I mean, you're sure that you're going to be able to steal money for a long period of time and not interested, you don't care about the value of money, so you use some stolen money to buy yourself a townhouse and charge it to the government. And of course, don't pay any taxes. It takes a Clinton.
So, Charles, we're walking around some parts of town we haven't been to before, and sometimes we run into radio interference or get outside
have
the
it now?
zone. No, we're doing okay. But I just want to let everybody know that if the broadcast is disrupted, I'll re-upload the full thing after we're done, and after I get back, it'll be on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and also on the Jason Goodman YouTube channel, which remains under strike by the president of television. We're almost at the election.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let's talk about that a little bit and the recent developments with President Trump. Or I should say with COVID making the mistake of attacking Trump. So watching the choreographed way in which Chris Wallace, pronounced Wallace, and others pretending to be objective but actually hating Trump, tried to put in bellicose music and ominous suggestions that Trump was, he may not last, and he was worried about his future, and I should have been worried about my future there, sorry. Now the latest is that his doctors went on moments before we went on saying there's a chance he gets discharged tomorrow.
Right.
On that side of it.
I was just noticing that license plate is 8333.
There we go. Maybe the
yeah,
car
he
will
might
blow.
get discharged tomorrow. That would be great. He could come roaring back with a V-shaped recovery, Charles.
Let's keep going down another
victory.
Yeah. And then we'll go down second maybe, or.
But people have been exploring the possibility that Trump and these Republicans in the Senate who would be critical for confirming Amy Coney Barrett, they all got coronavirus at the same time. That could be due to being at a meeting where somebody had it, but it could also be due to perhaps someone deliberately spreading it to them.
Well, and also I think it's important to monitor not simply who has the virus, but what's the death rate. And if the cases are mushrooming, but the death rate is not moving, then actually the potential lethality of the virus as it impacts the population is not as worrisome as many assumed back in March or February, whenever they first got concerned about this. So
there's a term for that.
What's that?
John Cullen's been talking about it. It's the depletion of susceptibles. As the virus, as any virus, moves through a society, there are certain people who are weaker and more susceptible to getting it, and as they succumb to it or recover from it, the people that remain are just not going to get sick because they're stronger or better immune systems.
Right. So I think the lamestream media is unbelievably irresponsible. Why do we think that's likely? What market do you think they're trying to get into? The Chinese market?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
If you're sitting there and you're trying to get new subscribers, and the Chinese government says, look, you toe the line and we'll give you preferred access into the market of 1.4 billion.
Facebook's definitely doing that.
Sure, I'm sure Google's doing it, I'm sure Twitter's doing it, and I'm sure the mainstream media is doing it. And instead, what we should be doing is saying, all right, here's how it's going to work. You're an American company, and we've noticed that your market shares are tiny in the United States, but very big outside the United States. And so we think you should be trying to sell your products more inside the United States. And so we're going to do this. We're going to tax your American income